Welcome to the lecture on PHP case sensitivity. So here we'll understand what is case sensitive in PHP. We looked in this case sensitive previously with variables. Now we know how to create a function, and we will also look into how PHP behaves when you try to use the same thing in lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so part of this, go to example 7, PHP is case sensitive. We'll create one file and we'll define some examples in it to see what is case sensitive in PHP. Okay, so let's understand this. So Control S, Control V. Okay, what happens if I say PHP in caps? Okay, that's the first thing I want to try. What happens? Okay, and I'll try to use echo in different caps. And completely caps. Will it complain or will it not complain? That's basically we're trying to understand here. What is the case sensitivity of PHP? So if you go to language for variables folder, and it doesn't really complain. Yeah, this is basically PHP. Not everything is case sensitive. You can define the functions, you can define the tags in upper or lower case. It doesn't really care. That's why it's called as loosely typed. Sometimes PHP is called as loosely typed. That's the reason. One of the reason is you doesn't really matter whether it is lower case or upper case. It's just able to print this as per is required. Okay, you can even try to use print, and it should be able to print that as well, right? So let's look at variables as case sensitive. So let's define a name, call it PHP, right? And then we'll define another name. Let's say I call it my name. Okay, let's do an echo. So it's able to print both the variables. It doesn't really complain, you know, there's a case differences here, and it actually treats both the variables differently. Means if you have a different name with different caps, then it treats that as a new variable. Okay, and you cannot say like this, right? It doesn't know what is that variable, because variables are case sensitive. That's what we are trying to show here. So be careful with the variable namings, because variables are case sensitive. Okay, so let's try out with function. We'll print a message. So let's understand whether functions are case sensitive or not. Okay, and I try to print this. And let's see what happens. It doesn't really care, right? It doesn't really care whether your functions are basically uppercase or lowercase. And what happens if you create a duplicate out of it? Because it doesn't care, it will be able to find the duplicate, right? It will error out because you're creating a duplicate. You have to understand from function that function are not case sensitive. Means the function names that you have are not case sensitive. Means you can create any name that you want and call it with any case that you have, but you cannot have duplicate by changing the case. Okay, so I hope it's clear. I'll comment this out. Well, PHP is not case sensitive for the functions and the keywords, but it is case sensitive for the variables. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one.